Hello, everyone. Happy new month to you all. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, depending on whichever part of the world you are tuning in from. And I'm so excited to welcome you to our first edition of the Forex Morning Mastery for the new month of September. So, happy new month once again to everyone as we head into a day that doubles both the last trading day for the week and at the same time the first trading day for the new month. And of course, with this kind of scenario we have here, it promises to be quite an interesting session as we look forward to some volatility in the market as major key players in the market reassess their positions. Some of them will be closing in their positions and some of them will be strategizing ahead of the new month. And of course, as technical traders, what we shall be doing here is to sniff through the current market structure to identify patterns and structures that will give us an insight into how the big players in the market are getting ready for the new month. Well, in anticipation of today's trading session, I have conducted a comprehensive price action analysis on all of the assets on our watch list, where we shall be using simple parameters such as trend lines, key levels, and of course chart patterns to gain valuable insight into the historical price movement of these assets. And hold on a second, I just clicked on something. Okay. So far this week, we have been monitoring three major financial assets, which includes the GBPUSD. We have the XAUUSD, popularly known as the gold spot. And of course, we also have the USDJPY, which is also on our watch list for this week. And in fact, in the last 1 week, the last 4.5 days thereabout, let me be precise here, we have been doing pretty well across this asset. So we're going to be looking at this and how we are going to be managing our existing positions. And for those who are joining us for the first time, you are highly welcome. And you might be asking, what is it that we are doing here? Well, we come together here on a daily basis in anticipation of both the London and the New York session to do a follow-up detail on the videos I shared during the course of the weekend. Now, during the course of the weekend, I normally share videos. I will normally share my plans for the new week through video templates where I do a top-down analysis on what I'm going to be looking out for and how I intend to position myself ahead of the new week. So as a result of this, the Forex Morning Mastery was born, and here we normally focus on the 1 hour time frame, doing a follow-up detail on all of this analysis. So that is why it is important for you to watch my video that I shared during the course of the weekend ahead of this session, as this will give you a background knowledge of how we got to the point we are on the 1 hour time frame, and as well you can use it as an educational guide in understanding how to use price action to guide your independent trading decisions. So we do this on a daily basis, 8:05 a.m. UTC technically, and I encourage you to stay tuned in through the end of the session and be part of our subsequent session, as the more time you spend with us, the better you get in understanding how to use the simple parameters in identifying potential trading opportunities, and in the long run be able to eventually use this information you have gathered here to make your own independent trading decisions. So once again, I welcome you all on board. So with that being said here, we shall be diving right into the financial market. But before we go into this detail, you know how we do it. The first thing we want to be doing is to check on the economic calendar, as we all know that these fundamental factors often manifest on the chart in technical patterns and price movements. By monitoring the economic calendar, we can easily identify potential correlations between key economic releases and specific technical patterns, hereby giving us valuable insight or information that we need to position ourselves strategically in such a way that we can capitalize on any potential move prior, during, and even after this event. Now, on the economic calendar, we normally focus on high impact events that will be affecting the assets on our watch list. And of course, we want to be looking at economies such as the United States, the United Kingdom, and the Japanese economies. Now, for today, Friday, September 1st, we have a bunch of high impact events, all of which are coming in from the United States economic docket. And the first one on our list here, which of course is going to be happening simultaneously with the non-farm payroll, is the average hourly earnings. Now, for those who don't know what the average hourly earnings is, well, this gauges the wage growth, reflecting labor market dynamics and consumer purchasing power. A strong earning growth can boost consumer spending and, of course, the economy, so potentially leading to rate hikes and, of course, currency appreciation. Now, on this one, we have, of course, a high reading is generally seen as something positive for the economy. Now, on the average hourly earning, the month on month and on year, we have a projection which is more or less similar to what we had in the previous data. And from the look of things here, we have no other choice than to remain patient, waiting for what the actual data is going to be. Will it be just as expected, below expectation, or even beyond expectations? Then we also have the non-farm payroll, which is coming up at the same time. And the non-farm payroll reveals the net change in non-farm employment, highlighting economic strength or weaknesses in the U.S. economy. And of course, a high reading is considered as robust for the economy, hereby giving us positive expectations as regards to the US dollar. But there is something interesting that has been going on so far this week as traders scale back the odds of a financial rate hike by the US Fed this month. And the reason is simply because of the poor labor data that has been rolling in since the beginning of this week, right from the US economic docket. Remember, we had the ADP employment change, which came in quite below expectations. We had the gross domestic product annualized for Q2, which also came in below expectation too as well. And of course, we're looking forward to this labor data to complement the data we've had so far this week. And of course, everyone is at the edge of their seats waiting for this data, making it another impactful event that might likely affect the volatility across the US pairs for today. And considering the fact that today is the last trading day of the week, the first trading day of the month, I'm of the opinion that we are going to be seeing some volatile movement. And what we want to be doing here as technical traders is to ensure that we are on standby to capitalize on that move. Now, with that being said here on the economic calendar, and of course with the informations we have gathered here, let's dive right into the business for today. Now, before we kickstart, I would like to get some feedbacks in the comment section as regards to the sound and visual quality of the session. Please let me know in the comment section if things are quite okay from your own end, as this will enable me know that we are all on the same page here. And if there are any issues, please, of course, let me know. I'll really appreciate your feedback, as this will enable me to do the necessary adjustment to make our experience a better one. So I will really appreciate your feedbacks. I look forward to seeing your comments in the comment section. Thank you very much, guys, as I look forward to that. I see your comment, Jonah Aruna. Good morning to you, Jonah. Happy new month to you. Adeniyi Babalola, thank you very, very much. I really appreciate you and your support behind the scenes. And good morning to you too as well, and happy new month. All right, so I still look forward to more comments on that. So in that being said here, let's dive right into the business, as we want to be looking at things from a technical standpoint. So the first financial asset we are going to be taking on today is going to be the GBPUSD. Now, the GBPUSD, as though the week started with an indecisive phase in this market, as we saw here that the first couple of days, the market wasn't sure of the direction it wants to be heading to, as we had a lot of range-bound activities during that time. Now, to start with, let's see what really happened at the beginning of the week and what led to the decisions we made so far this week. And of course, this will give us a background knowledge of where we are coming from. And for those who are not part of our early sessions, we make them also be on the same page with us. Now, at the beginning of the week, we initially noticed our price was caught within a range. Of course, remember, we saw price confined within the 1.2600 level, which was our key level for the week, and the 1.25790 area, giving us an insight into the level of indecision at the beginning of the week. And of course, within that range, we saw this engulfing bearish candle, which gave us a sign that we might likely be seeing a bearish momentum for the week. And as a result of that, we entered a sell positions at the breakdown of the 1.2579, which happens to be the neckline of that range we identified earlier. But unfortunately for us, we were taken out of that position in a loss as we saw buy pressure resume in this market, leading to the breakout of that resistant line here to welcome our first buy position for the week. Though the momentum didn't last long, as we saw buyers struggled before they finally gained that momentum to push price to the upside. And remember, we begin to buy at the breakout of that key level right here on Tuesday at the 1.2600 area. And since that moment, we have been buying the GBPUSD. And remember, we also had the privilege of maximizing the potential of this bullish move. Remember, we added more positions at the breakout of the 1.263. We added one more at the breakout of the 1.267. And I think we also added one more had the breakout of the 1.27120 area. So the first half of the week, we were quite profitable on the GBP USD. Then later on Wednesday, Thursday, we begin to notice some selling pressure, which we of course took advantage of. Remember, we sold right here yesterday, and we rode that move all the way to the downside. And one interesting thing we saw here was that price moved about 60 pips before the buy pressure resumed here. And of course, if you have moved your stop loss accordingly, like I said yesterday, I did share some updates on the GBPUSD on my Telegram platform that we want to be moving our stop losses to secure this position, as we have noticed buy pressure around the 1.265. And if you have done that correctly, you must have been taken out from this sell position with a modest size of profit. Now, with the situation we have right now, I did share an update this morning as regards to this current setup on my Telegram platform on how we do intend to capitalize on this on a potential opportunity for today. Now, as we get prepared for today's trading session, what is it that we are looking out for? So before my commentary this morning on the GBPUSD, price action was around this area, around the 1.26560 level, and I emphasized in that commentary, for those who are with me on my Telegram platform, you definitely would have gotten that update. I made mention here that the emergence of buy pressure around the 1.265 is a clear sign that we might be getting ready for the second leg of the bullish momentum that started at the beginning of this week. Probably we are at the end of the retracement phase, as you will see that sellers are finding it difficult to break through the 1.26500 level. And because of the scenario here, we have no other choice than to get ready to buy. And I made mention in that commentary that we shall be looking out for buying opportunities above the 1.267, and for those who took advantage of that opportunity, well done for being on standby to capitalize on that move. And right now, you will currently be running with about 7-8 pips thereabout at this point in time as price action, as we begin to see some selling pressure resume around that area. But with that engulfing candle right there, it's a very good signal that we are likely going to be going bullish for today's trading session. Now, another thing that further buttresses the importance of this reversal pattern at this point is the nature of the transition of price action here. Now, if you look at the bearish momentum that began on Wednesday, which for me I consider to be a retracement of that bullish impulse like we witnessed at the beginning of the week, you will see how price dropped into the 1.265. We saw the scenario here. Price was unable to break down and close below the previous low, which is a very good sign that buyers are gradually gaining momentum behind the scenes, hereby resulting into a scenario that is looking more like a reversal pattern in the form of a double bottom structure. And from a technical standpoint, this reversal pattern is a very strong one. And if this is going to happen, you know how we do whenever we identify reversal patterns like this. The next thing we want to be doing is to identify the neckline that we shall be using to validate that reversal pattern. Now, if you look at the structure here, the 1.267, in fact, it should be around the 1.26750 level, has the neckline of that reversal pattern somewhere around here. Hold on a second, let me mark this out here. But because of the fact that I do not want too much lines on my chart, I've decided to hold on to the 1.267 as a neckline of that reversal pattern. Remember, that level has been one of the levels we use to guide our trading, our buying opportunity at the beginning of the week. Remember, right here we saw the breakout of that level. So price is back into that range, and for me this is a sign that we are back within the buyer's territory. Now, in this case scenario here, we already have a breakout, and in fact, for those who had missed out on this buy opportunity, let's see if the market will give us a second chance. And of course, the second chance will reflect on the chart as price action coming back to retest the structure that was broken. And if we begin to see some buy pressure around this area on our lower time frame, then we want to be joining an uptrend continuation. And in fact, this uptrend continuation, if it goes on to break out of this descending trend line, then I will feel very comfortable in this buy position. So as you will see, price appears to be, there are still some signs here where sellers want to still respect that descending trend line. But at the point of the breakout of that descending trend line, I'm of the opinion that we are going to be going very bullish. So I would like to have a line around this area. So let's see where we can fit this in. So we should be having something around the 1.26880. So we do want to be marking this level out on our chart. 1.26880 level, mark it out on your chart, as we shall be using that to maximize the potential of this bullish move. So let's see how the market will play out here. Things are looking very bullish here. Remember, I emphasized the presence of buyers around this area as sellers find it difficult to break through that level. And then one more thing that also buttresses this confluence, remember we had an ascending trend line at the beginning of the week. If we extend it out, you will see how it has consistently been respected to push this bullish momentum to the upside. And if price remains above our ascending trend line, then we have no business selling that asset. Now, in as much as we're looking out for buying opportunity in this market for today, we are not going to ignore the potentials of sellers. I doubt if this is going to happen. I doubt if sellers will come in today. But if they do come in, we also want to be on standby to capitalize on that move. And like I told you earlier, considering how important today is, being the first trading day of the month and the last trading day of the week, there's going to be some reassessment of position, closing in of some positions, which could lead to some volatility in this market. And if we do have a breakout of this zone where we are in right now, the move is likely going to be very, very massive. So we do want to be on standby of any breakout of the structure during the London and New York session today. So if at any point in time today we do witness a breakdown of this ascending trend line, then we want to be getting ready to sell. And in fact, if you are profitable, you could have your sell stop order below that structure. That is, if you are profitable since the beginning of this week, then you can afford to leverage on some of the profit you had made so far this week to capitalize on a bearish move. But if you are not and you're new with us today and this is your first time taking a position on the GBPUSD, that is, you are coming in from a clean slate, then I would advise you, encourage you to wait for confirmation before jumping into that position. So after the breakdown of the trend line happens, scale down to your lower time frame. Look out for signs like retest of structure, signs that buyers are finding it difficult to climb back above that ascending trend line. Then we can join the bearish move to the downside. So this is how we are going to be positioning ourselves for the London and New York session today on the GBPUSD. And in fact, our center of focus for today is basically between the 1.267 and the 1.265, where depending on how price action reacts to the zone is going to dictate where price action will be closing for this week. So let's be on standby. Let's mark out these levels on our chart and let's get ready to be part of a profitable journey today. So these are my views here on the GBPUSD. If you have any questions whatsoever as regards to this current setup, feel free to drop your inquiries in the comment section. So I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to see if there are any questions whatsoever before we move right into the next financial asset. All right, so I see a couple of comments here. Thank you very much for your feedbacks. L. Levitt, I love you too, L. Eric Mudavadi, good morning to you. Thank you very much. Jonah Aruna, thank you. Mystic, Richard Blackett, and L. Levitt one more time again. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate your support. All right, so in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we are all on the same page. So we shall be moving right into the next financial asset. But if you still have questions, don't hesitate to drop them in the comment section. I will be attending to them in due time. So with that being said, let's move on. So the next asset on our watch list is my favorite, which is the XAUUSD, popularly known as the gold spot. It has been quite an interesting week for us here. We've had roller coasters of buys and sell, but majorly we have been buying this asset since the beginning of this week, and the sell positions are more or less like a counter trend opportunity, which of course we said if price moves in that direction, we will be taking advantage of it. So let's run through this quickly and let's see how the week began for us and what led to the idea of buying this asset. Well, remember at the beginning of the week we had a stop loss after thinking that price action will go bearish. Remember, we saw this structure here. The first thing we observed this at the beginning of the week was this descending trend line, which was captured since last week Thursday as we connected the series of lower highs here to give us a beautiful trend line to work with. And you know how we do it. If price remains below the descending trend line, we continue to look out for patterns and structures that support the idea of selling that asset. Now, in addition to that trend line, we saw a range where price action was confined within, and that was between the $1,917.60 level and the $1,914.50 area, to emphasize the level of indecision at that point in time. And one interesting thing that we noticed within that range is the nature of the wick of the candles that tested and rejected that as descending trend line and of course the resistant line. And because of this sharp rejection, we were of the opinion that sellers were likely going to be taking over the market. And as a result of this observation, we positioned ourselves just right below the support line here to capitalize on a selling opportunity. But unfortunately, we had our sell position triggered, but price action wasn't able to run through that cost to the downside. So we were taken out in a loss on that one. And during our XAUUSD live monitoring window on Monday, we observed the continued buy pressure around this area. And in fact, the appearance of the buy pressure here was a sign that we could see that area serve as a platform for buying opportunity, leading to the breakout of that descending trend line. And of course, when we observed this, we positioned ourselves right above the 1916, which also shares a confluence with that descending trend line. So the breakout of that structure welcomed our first buy position for the week, and in fact, for those who had missed out on this opportunity, the market gave us a second chance as we saw price come back to retest the structure to incite the uptrend continuation. So since that moment, we have been buying the XAUUSD at every single opportunity that we see here in this market. And in fact, we had multiple entries. I think we were able to scoop in about over 500 pips on the multiple entries we had so far this week. And for those who are part of this profitable journey, well done to you for being on standby to capitalize on that move. And during our live session yesterday, we talked about the potential of some selling opportunities here. Remember, we spotted this breakdown of the ascending trend line, which was supposed to be what we were using to guide our trading activity for this week. So at the site of the breakdown of the structure, we were looking forward to selling opportunities if price does break down the 1944. Then, however, remember, we also considered bullish momentum, that if price breaks out of this descending trend line, we want to be capitalizing on an uptrend move. And for those who are profitable, I told us all that we can leverage on the profit we had made so far this week by having a buy stop order above the $1,946.30 level, which of course was triggered, and unfortunately we were taken out in a loss on that one. But we still, we are still leveraging on the profit we have made so far this week, so we're still on the positive side. Now, we took advantage of the sell position, which of course didn't move significantly well, as we saw price only moved about 55 to 60 pips thereabout. And of course, if you had moved your stop loss, you must have been taken out at a modest size of profits, or at a worst case scenario, break even. So it has been quite an interesting week for us, though the last 24 hours wasn't that interesting anyways, but it has been a very profitable week for everyone on the XAUUSD. And for those who are part of this profitable journey, well done to you for being on standby to be part of this move. Now, at this point in time, we are not in any positions right now. And how do we intend to capitalize on any potential move today? Is there the potentials of sellers taking over this market, or are we going to be leveraging on the bullish momentum we've been enjoying so far this week to continue the uptrend? Well, I shared an update this morning on both my platform, on the TradingView and Telegram platform, where I discussed how we are going to be preparing for today's trading session. And for those who are with me on my TradingView and Telegram platform, you definitely would have gotten this update. But for those who are not, let's run through this together and see what we said here. So this morning I stated here that all sell positions have been exited as buy momentum surges above the 1939 zone. There is a anticipation amongst market participants for today's release of the NFP data. Very important data here we are all looking forward to, which is poised to have deeper insight as traders recalibrate their expectations concerning the potential for a final interest rate hike by the US Federal Reserve this year. This reassessment comes in response to the recent decline in US job openings, a trend not seen since early 2021. So, from the fundamental aspect of the market, the majority of participants are reassessing their position as regards to the interest rate hike. Before, we were thinking that there's going to be another interest rate hike this month, and as a result of that, it could increase the investment in the US dollar, the demand for the US dollar, and of course, an interest rate hike, of course, is an attractive window for investors. But with the way things are going right now, with the labor data that came in from the US economic docket this week isn't that promising at all. We are still looking forward to the average hourly earnings, which is another labor data. We are still looking forward to the NFP data coming up today, which is another labor data therein. And everyone is focused on this to see if there's going to be some positive traction in these figures. And if there is, then the likelihood of an interest rate hike now becomes back on the table. But if the data is not promising, then I'm of the opinion that there might likely be a pause in interest rate hike, which will not make the dollar very attractive at this point, hereby everyone moving to a safe haven such as the gold spot. So the event today is a very, very important one, as it will be giving us an insight into what is likely going to be happening. But as technical traders, I'm of the opinion that we shall begin to see some traces prior to the event, like 31 hours to the event. We will begin to see some traces in the market, which of course will be giving us an insight into what is likely going to be happening. And of course, I will be sharing them with you on my TradingView and Telegram platform. Now, let's go back into the chart and let's look at things from a technical standpoint. Now, on the chart right here, the 1 hour time frame, I shared this setup on our this morning as regards to the setup. And the first thing you would notice on the 1 hour time frame, taking into consideration the nature of price action since the second half of this week, the first thing you will observe here is that we have lower highs. And if we connect a series of lower highs, we have a descending trend line to guide our trading activity. And of course, when we have descending trend lines, you know that we always want to be looking out for patterns and structures that will support the idea of selling, which of course led to the sell positions we had yesterday. However, something interesting is going on in the market. Since yesterday's trading session, we have noticed how it became difficult for sellers to break through the 1,939 level. Now, look at what went on here throughout the New York session. Going into the early hours of today, we can see how sellers have found it difficult to break through that structure. Now, despite the lower highs we've noticed on this chart, you will see that we are yet to see a lower low to affirm the potency of the sellers in this market. And as a result of this buy pressure emerging above the 1,939, I'm of the opinion that it is very likely that this descending trend line is broken to incite an uptrend continuation. So in that regard, I'm able to identify a couple of levels here that we shall be using to guide our trading activity for today. Now, the first one here is the 1,943 level, which of course has been a major determinant of price action since the second half of the week begins. Since Wednesday's trading session, you will see how that level, after being broken out of on Wednesday, we saw how sellers have been finding it difficult to break through that area. So it has been a very strong buying niche in this particular market. And not until yesterday we saw a little breakdown of structure, but despite the breakdown, we can see the nature of the week of these candles as sellers struggle to push price further to the downside. And right now, we saw selling pressure again, and it appears we're having a breakout of that area. Price is right on top of that line. And one interesting thing about this structure is the fact that it also shares a confluence with that descending trend line. So we are at a crucial moment in the market right here, where I will be looking forward to the breakout of that descending trend line to confirm a potential reversal pattern. Looking at this structure here, we can see something like a reversal pattern here, where the 1,943, 1,944 zone will be serving as the neckline of that reversal pattern. A breakout of this structure definitely will be a good opportunity to buy. Now, there are two ways to which we normally capitalize on trading opportunities in this community. The first one here is for those who are already profitable in this market. Now, for those who are profitable in this market, we can afford to leverage on the profit we have made so far this week to test waters above the 1,943 level. So We can afford to have our buy stop order above the 1,943. So even if price does not play out as expected, we know that we just using some of the profits we had made so far this week. However, if you are new with us and this is going to be your first position on the XAUUSD, then I would advise you to remain patient, wait for confirmation before you jump into this position. And of course, this would reflect on the chart as a breakout of structure. Scale down to your lower time frame. It could be the 10 minutes, 5 minutes, or 15 minutes time frame to look out for confirmations such as retest of structure. All we want to see is signs that sellers are finding it difficult to drop back below the descending trend line. And this, of course, will reflect on the chart as buy pressure. Then we can be part of the second leg of the uptrend that started this week. And in fact, we have multiple levels here where we can use to maximize the potential of this bullish move. So we have the 1,944 level, we have the $1,946.30 level, and of course we have the 1,949 level, all of which we can use to maximize this move if price action breaks out of these levels. So these are my views here on buying the XAUUSD for today. Now, in as much as we are looking out for buying opportunities, you know how we do it in this community. We also want to keep tabs with the opposite direction too as well. What are the chances that the dollar could gain some momentum today? What are the chances that sellers could come in this market? What are the chances that if the NFP data comes in very, very positive, that the dollar might not likely push price to the downside? So in this scenario here, what I will be looking out for to sell the XAUUSD for today is for me to see price action take out all the buy positions within the zone before I can start considering selling. So I would like to see some slice through of the zone here before I can consider selling this market. And in fact, if we have a retest of structure, continuous selling pressure below this area, probably respecting that descending trend line, then it will be a good scenario to sell the XAUUSD today. So let's see how the market will play out. And of course, I will be with you in the comment section of both my TradingView and Telegram platforms to give you updates on what I think we can do at that point. So these are my views here on the XAUUSD. So we do want to be marking out these levels on our chart as we shall be needing them as a reference point to guide our trading activities for today's trading session. If you have any questions whatsoever as regards to the current setup, or you need me to do some clarification on what I said, feel free to drop the inquiries in the comment section. And trust me, I am here and willing to be of help in that regard. So I will be taking some 10 to 15 seconds to see if there are any questions before we move on to the next financial asset. All right, so in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we are all on the same page. And in fact, I just dropped in the link to the XAUUSD live monitoring window, which will be coming up in 5 to 10 minutes into the New York session today. So you do want to be part of that session as we get prepared for the NFP data coming up later today. Let's see if we can see some setups to use as a yardstick to guide our trading activity ahead of the NFP data today. So the link is right in the comment box. Click on the link, click on the notify me button so that you can get notified as soon as we come online. So thank you on that one. And in the absence of no questions, let's dive right into the last financial asset for today. All right, so the last asset on our watch list for today is the USDJPY, and in fact, so far this week, we really have not seen anything significant to hold on to this week, as price action most of the time has been choppy throughout the course of this week. Though we had some buy positions, we had some sell positions, but they didn't move as significant as expected. Now look at what happened at the beginning of the week. We had a scenario here where price was caught within a range, emphasizing the level of indecision at that point in time. And of course, you know how we do it in this community. Whenever we have a flat range like this, we want to wait patiently for a signal to come, which of course will come in the form of a breakout or breakdown of that range to give us an opportunity to trade. Now we saw the breakout of that range happen, and in fact price moved about 70 pips in our favor before the bearish momentum began. And remember, we also took advantage of some sell positions here. Price moved about 50 pips thereabout on both occasions. Then yesterday we took advantage of a bullish momentum after noticing how price action was respecting this ascending trend line, but unfortunately we were wrong. As you will see, despite the buy pressure we observed here, remember we positioned ourselves above the 146.050 level, as we thought that the price is going to respect that ascending trend line one more time to incite an uptrend continuation. But it only moved about 5-7 pips before the bearish momentum came in, taking us out of the buy position in a loss. And I updated us on the public platform. I said here that we want to stay clear of this market and wait for the market to normalize and look out for new trading setup, which of course we are yet to see one at this point in time. So it is quite interesting that we are on the last trading day of the week, and of course at the first trading day of the month, which further will emphasize the level of indecision at this point. And if we take into consideration the fundamental aspect of this market, that is the Japanese economy, the fear of the Bank of Japan's intervention, which is not likely to happen anyways, but the fear still lingers on in the market. And as a result of this, price is not comfortable in this high. And that is why we've been seeing some choppy scenarios, lot of retracement phases along the line around this area. And at this point in time, we are still back into a consolidation phase. Now, if you look at what has been going on here since the later part of the New York session, let me zoom right in so that we can see things clearly. This is where price action is at this point in time. And since the New York session yesterday, we have noticed that price action has fallen into a range, and that is between the 145.600 and the 145.360 to further emphasize the level of indecision at this point in time. Now, you know how we do it whenever we have a range like this. We of course want to be waiting for the breakout of the resistance line for buying opportunities, or the breakdown of the support line for selling opportunities. But in this case scenario, considering the indecision in this market, I will be advising us to wait for confirmation before jumping into any positions on the USDJPY today, irrespective of if you are profit so far this week or not. And the reason is simply because we want to see that truly price action is going to be moving in that direction. Now, what I mean by waiting for confirmation here is this: while if price will break out of the resistance line, I want to see a retest of structure before I jump into this position. And if price will break down the support line at the 145.360, I want to see a retest of structure before I jump into this position. And in fact, if a retest does not happen and price just continue to move in that direction, I will allow that trade to pass, as it's better we are in a trade that falls through with our strategy than to enter a random trade and get our fingers burnt. So at this point in time, let's just remain patient here, wait for breakout or breakdown of this range to happen, wait for confirmations before we jump into a position. So our center of focus for today is basically between the 145.600 and the 145.360, which of course you do want to be marking out on your chart, as we shall be using this as a reference point to guide our independent trading decisions today. And of course, if there is anything new on this current setup, I will definitely share them with you on both my TradingView and Telegram platforms. So these are my views here on the USDJPY for today. Nothing much. Let's hope that things will give us positive signals that will help us end the month on a positive note. So with that being said here, I don't know if you have questions. If you do, please let me know. I will take the next 10 to 15 seconds to see if there are any questions whatsoever before we draw the curtain for today. All right. So in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we are all on the same page here. It has been a wonderful week with in this community, as we were able to be on the positive side of our portfolio. On the XAUUSD, we did tremendously well this week, though we had a loss at some point. I think it was yesterday we had a loss. Okay, yesterday and at the beginning of the week we had a loss, but what we made so far this week was enough to recoup the losses we incurred so far this week. And well done to everyone who has been part of that profitable journey. Then on the GBPUSD too as well, we did pretty well. And on the USDJPY, our situation is looking sketchy, as there is a lot of indecisive in this market, and as a result of that, we really didn't see something significant on the USDJPY this week. But of course, there are many more days, and of course, there are many more opportunities in the market for us to capitalize on, of course. And there are times we have this kind of event happen on a weekly basis. But it's okay, it's all fine. Let's see how the market will react today and how we are going to be anticipating the NFP data today too as well. So of course, I will be updating you in the comment section of both my TradingView and Telegram platform, and I'm very confident that we are well equipped, and I do hope you are able to mark out these levels on your chart, and let's use them as a reference point to guide our trading activities for today. Happy new month, everyone. And don't forget the XAUUSD live monitoring window. I'm looking forward to seeing you right there in the comment section on the XAUUSD live monitoring as we come online to monitor real time how to take advantage of trading opportunities on the XAUUSD. So on this note, I wish you all the best of luck today, and I thank every single one of you in the house, Jonah, Babalola, El Levit, Mudavadi, Mystic, Richard Blackett. I thank every one of you. And for those who are behind the scenes, who rather watch than comment, thank you very much for your support. Please don't forget to support this project. Your likes are very valuable to me. Click on the like button, as this also will help the YouTube algorithm to promote the video to a wider audience of traders who may find this content beneficial too as well. I encourage you to also subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Subscribing, you get notified whenever I drop insightful content like this, and whenever I come online, you also get notified. So thank you very much, guys. I really do appreciate your time, and I look forward to seeing you in the comment section of both my TradingView and Telegram platform, and of course on the XAUUSD live monitoring window as we continue to monitor price action. And don't forget that since today is the last trading day of the week, I will begin to prepare my plans for next week, and by tomorrow I should be able to drop a couple of assets that will be part of our watch list for next week. So I hope you've subscribed so you can get notified whenever I do so. Do have a wonderful day, everyone, and I wish you a wonderful weekend too as well. Once again, happy new month to you. Bye-bye.